There are still obviously cases where there is on-premise implementations driven by, regulatory environment in a certain country, or, nature of legacy systems, or some other business
Right.
rationale. But, for the most part, we certainly see that 90% of the clients go cloud. When you trying to enter a certain market, don't expect that your product is just, going to sell as is. It's very difficult to sell into, many of those territories without having local presence.
All right. Well, today I'm joined by Natallia Hunik at CubeLogic, Chief Revenue Officer. Thank you so much for joining me, Natallia. How are you doing today?
Well, thanks for inviting me to your podcast, Brian. I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Well, great. Well, very excited to speak with you, and CubeLogic, right up my alley. So I've been very excited to speak to you, learn a bit more about the company. So just to kind of introduce the company, number one credit market risk management solution provider, energy technology firm of the year for the second consecutive year. So lots of excitement over there. What else can you tell me about CubeLogic?
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a lot of excitement and a lot of growth, this year and in the coming years. So it's plenty of work to do. CubeLogic develops best-in-class risk tech software that helps our clients to manage their enterprise risk in the most efficient and cost-effective manner. The three areas of risk that we address is credit risk, market risk, and compliance risk. So we have an underpinning platform that provides a product suite to address these needs for our clients. Most of our clients are enterprise clients. Most of them are Fortune 500 companies. The company's history comes from the energy and commodities space. So as a result, I think more than half of our clients are from energy and commodities industry. But looking forward into 2023 and beyond, we have very ambitious plans of expanding our audience and reaching out to the financial services institutions, credit-driven financial services institutions as well. So yes, certainly a lot of excitement and a lot of growth on the horizon.
Yeah, big market too as well.
It is, yes.
So I'm curious. So I just, if you look on your website, you can see some of the reviews from your clients. But I'm curious. I can hardly contain my excitement. It's amazing what you've done. Our essential technology platform. I mean, in a nutshell, what does CubeLogic, do? What's the big pain point that CubeLogic is solving for these clients?
No, absolutely. Yeah. So we help our clients to manage their credit risk. And when, we walk into a typical company, if it's a large enterprise client, what we typically see is, obviously because the client is large and there's a lot of systems in place, there's a lot of data silos, a lot of fragmentation. And the value we add is we're bringing all of it together and providing this holistic view of their risk, which is really important in today's rapidly developing world. So if there is a macroeconomic event or something happening in the market, you as a manager of this global oil major, you want to know your exposure to a certain market, and you cannot wait for it for 2 weeks, right? You cannot wait for people to pull spreadsheets. You cannot wait for people to compile different reports. You really need to have this dynamic and agile risk management. And this is the value that our system delivers, and our clients see a great benefit in using our platform, because it allows them to do exactly that. It allows them to be very agile with their risk management and really make the risk management a source of competitive advantage because they know where their exposure lies in a matter of minutes. They don't have to go through the manual data extraction. We also do a lot of integrations with other systems, so we can pull the data from their ERPs, pull the data from their trading platforms, and really marry all of this data to provide you a complete picture of where your company stands from the enterprise risk perspective.
Now, I'm curious if I'm correct. You offer both a cloud solution and an on-premises solution. Are you seeing is cloud the clear winner, or are there just depends on the use case?
It still depends on the use case in some cases. However, we certainly post-pandemic, and it probably not just driven by pandemic, but we've definitely seen a wider adoption of cloud. And I think it's learning by osmosis, right? So in this larger organizations, they start with, moving there. I mean, decades ago, CRM used to be on-premise, developed by the company. Now everyone is on Salesforce, on Microsoft Dynamics, right? And through time, you also, I think IT teams learn that AWS or Microsoft Azure can do a much better job in terms of, securing the environment that you can do internally. So, as the time passes, you can see this, adoption of SaaS, and we certainly see that with our product as well. I think the recent statistics that we pulled out is 5 out of 6 new clients go to SaaS. I mean, there are still obviously cases where there is on-premise implementations driven by, regulatory environment in a certain country, or, nature of legacy systems, or some other business
Right.
rationale. But, for the most part, we certainly see that 90% of the clients go cloud.
Okay, interesting. So aggressive growth plans. I imagine you're looking to hire some key people. What
Mhm.
types of folks are you looking for right now at CubeLogic?
Yeah, so traditionally, we've obviously reached a kind of this inflection point. We have 45 enterprise clients, I mean, really large clients. And so the areas where we've been hiring, I think I've been hiring as I was brought in as a chief revenue officer. So my goal is to obviously ramp up a sales operation, put in a lot of sales processes, expand the total addressable market by moving into financial services and other areas. And so from my perspective, the folks who've been hiring is folks in the sales organization. It's strategic account managers, people with enterprise account experience to cover our accounts. As they're large, there's multiple stakeholders, there's a lot of projects going on simultaneously. So you really need, what we're looking for is to provide a really good account coverage for our customers. We also look for new enterprise sales managers and sales directors to go after more territories and cover some territories better, and of course source new business from existing market that we're already have been penetrated for the last 13 years, which is energy and commodities, but also break into the new markets like financial services, for example. We also been hiring for marketing talent. This is obviously essential when you're trying to grow your organization and break into new markets. You need to align your marketing messaging, as well as lead by example. Provide thought leadership to the industry, as our product is complex, so we need to spend some time educating our potential buyers, and looking also to hire customer success people to help with kind of day-to-day operations of the account. So yes, plenty of hiring. Been a busy summer.
Yeah. So I'm curious, do you think what are your views on hiring in 2022? Post pandemic, inflation. What has hiring changed, or do you think it's still the same as it always has been? And it's you got to compete for top talent, and
Yes, you certainly. Well, there's certainly changes. I mean, obviously, as a result of the pandemic, a lot of people look for flexibility. So you do get asked about, what is the work environment? What type of model do you offer? Would you be open to hybrid? I think that's overall, overwhelmingly, everyone's preference is to have that work-life balance and have the hybrid work environment. Of course, we do see the impact of inflation in terms of the wage expectations, for sure. And yes, I mean, where we hiring is Europe, London, the Western Europe, and East Coast, Texas, and it is a highly competitive job market. You need to have really a good story for your new hires. They need to be able to to relate to what you're doing, right? Have to be able to get behind your idea for growth, and fit into the overall company culture. We tend to be historically like a more engineering led culture, so you have to have that understanding what you're walking into, right? It hasn't been historically necessarily a sales organization. So you still have to be able to communicate with a lot of engineers and financial engineers. Have to find be open-minded and find how to communicate with this people. And yeah, I think the job market has changed. I mean, you can see that there's a lot of companies hiring, especially for sales talent. Yeah, I certainly witnessed that over summer as I was trying to hire my sales talent into my team.
So I'm curious, what gets you excited, or what traits get you excited in like a top salesperson? You've had a lot of success. We can kind of I'll touch on your background here in a bit, but you've have had a lot of success in the sales arena, and but yeah, what do you look for, and what tells you that person will be successful?
Well, I think that what we'll always look at salespeople is resilience, right? I mean, not being able to take a no for an answer. Persevere in all situations. I mean, be very methodical. Be really good with your time management. I mean, what I'm looking for is obviously I'm looking for someone seasoned who can also work independently on their own. Someone with enterprise experience, work in the large accounts. The account map tends to be complex. The lead time tends to be longer. You really need to engage and be able to engage with different stakeholders. Business side, I don't know, treasury, IT. You need to be able to relate to them. You need to be able to speak their language. So someone who's versatile and also passion. I think I always want to see passion. I mean, that's the number one thing. I want to see passion in the salesperson. I think I feel it. Prospects feel it. You always want to buy from someone who is passionate about the company, about what we're doing, about the product, and someone who is really looked into the company, understands coming into the interview, understands, or at least in general terms what we're doing. Read those customer testimonials that you looked at, and
Yeah.
and has some good questions prepared about what we do, and really relates to what we do and wants to be a part of it.
I like it. Where's most of your demand? I'm curious. I've heard a lot of demand for the product right now. Is it coming from the energy space? Is it the financial market space, or is it everyone?
But it's coming from both. I mean, obviously, our core markets that we've been playing in is energy and commodities, and as there is a lot of things happening in the energy and commodity space, driven by geopolitical events, and it's been a really well. There's going to be a tough winter season in Europe, for example, and that drives a lot of market movements, and it drives also a lot of organizational change, as I mentioned. Like looking, being able to access your numbers, the critical KPIs, mission critical KPIs for your company in a matter of seconds and minutes becomes really important on the agenda. And that drives a lot of product demand on our side. We also have a compliance product suite, for example, that just has been on fire this year because there's a lot of, as a result of, turbulent markets and a lot of volatility, you do see a lot of enforcement action from the regulators. I mean, this is the type of market environment that breeds misconduct, right? So
Right.
our products address exactly that. We have a product suite called CubeWatch, and it's transaction surveillance, position limits. We are analyzing transactions that have been done by the company compared to what's been happening in the market, and try to identify abusive behaviors. And we've seen a lot of demand for that as organizations trying to protect themselves and have a solid framework and a system in place to address the market abuse. And so that those have been the demand factors. But also in the financial services, similarly, we see a lot of companies embarking on this road of digital transformation, where let's say the particular sector that we're going after here in the U.S. is alternative credit institutions, right? So these are non-bank institutions, and they typically don't have a core banking system, and their credit risk management is not as established as it is at the bank. And they have a lot of legacy systems, a lot of manual processing. And again, as we see interest rates rise, and the credit market, is likely to undergo some changes. There's a lot of demand for a proper credit risk management system, and our system thrives in complex credit processing, and so there's a lot of demand from the financial services as well.
Very exciting. I'm working a few compliance roles right now, and it's very challenging to find compliance people. So does CubeLogic allow you to address maybe headcount issues in compliance?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I mean, the way we help our customers is we certainly help them to reduce the compliance headcount, right? I mean, the market abuse regulation, the remit regulation, is not the only regulation that they have to comply with. I mean, there's obviously, depending on where they're operating, where they domicile, they're probably subject to a lot more regulations. But specifically, what our software allows them to do is, certainly, not hiring 5 more analysts to look through transactions manually, and our software uses machine learning to do this analysis on behalf of the customer. So there's certainly a huge cost saving, and of course protection. When the regulator knocks on your door, you do have everything, all the audit trails. If there were suspicions raised, how you handled it, all of that is captured, and you are able to provide that within less than 24 hours if the regulator knocks on your door and asks for it. So yes, certainly a huge cost saving, and also a peace of mind for a trading company.
Yeah, very exciting. So I wanted to talk about your background a little bit. So certainly an international businesswoman. You bachelor's in Russia, or
Belarus.
How do you say
Belarus.
it? Belarus.
Yeah, Belarus.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'm sorry. Then you went to Boston, got a degree in finance, and then joined Boston Technology, started an office in Tokyo.
Yes.
I had a great career there, then opened an office in Shanghai, and then now you're back in Boston. So, but yeah, I'm sure you've got so many great stories and unique insights. But what have been your biggest, takeaways and lessons learned from just such a international experience?
Well, there's been so many lessons from the international experience. I mean, none of those countries are the same. The way that people work, the way they buy are not the same. So I think my biggest takeaway was when you trying to enter a certain market, don't expect that your product is just, going to sell as is, right? There's what I've witnessed throughout my career is we always had to customize. We had to in some cases we had to customize the product. In some cases we had to customize the pricing model because they're used to a different pricing model than what we've been selling. So certainly customization, certainly boots on the ground. It's very difficult to sell into many of those territories without having local presence. I've tried and it worked with some territories, but it's always a huge change if you are able to invest and open an office in the country and hire local talent. I mean, you certainly that investment, you see the result of it very quickly because they're able to create this local meetups, meet clients in person. On what we are doing, which is B2B enterprise sales, it's really, that personal interaction is still super important.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. When I was back at FXCM, they were in 200 countries, and that was a key lesson learned there. I mean, every country is different, and when you have people that are local in the culture, it's completely different. So since we both come from, I guess, the FX commodities world, do you still keep a close eye on the FX markets and the dollar? And I couldn't help but notice when the month you left, was it Boston markets? But I was just Euro Swiss has been on my mind before this. But yeah, you've been watching the markets closely.
I've tried, Brian, not because I'm no longer kind of in this trade and on the trading side of things, on the brokerage side of things. Probably the first 3 months, I sort of watched the market pretty closely. Now I just check in once a month.
Yeah, that's what I do.
It's difficult to keep up with with everything that I do here, and being here for the first year where I have to build a team and just kind of juggle so many priorities. It's difficult for me to keep track of the markets, but I try. I mean, I still do, and obviously, like sometimes you obviously, I mean, I'm sure you did too. You still have a lot of friends in the industry, and they want to bounce ideas off you and talk markets, and at that point you do start to look at what's been happening. But
you can waste many hours just prognosticating on the market, can't you?
Exactly.
Well, Natallia, it's been great talking with you today. Where can people find you, learn more about CubeLogic if they're curious?
Yes, absolutely. Well, CubeLogic has a website that's CubeLogic.com. We also have a LinkedIn page, CubeLogic. You can find me on LinkedIn, Natallia Hunik. You can find me on Twitter at nhunik, I think is my Twitter handle.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and it's been great talking with you.
Thank you, Bryan.